Hey, what's up YouTube? Goratha here yet again. Let's talk about my new build, Poison Molten Strike Assassin. This build has far exceeded my expectations. Mapping has been a breeze, and the boss damage is the best I've had in a while. The most surprising thing about this build, however, is how little damage you take while mapping. The combination of high evasion, elusive effect, and Noxic Strike recovery makes it feel like you're taking no damage almost ever. Before we get into the build, I want to talk about how Poison normally works. The Poison is an ailment that deals chaos damage over time. What separates it from Ignite is that it can stack with no limit, and normally only comes from chaos damage and physical damage hits. Now you're wondering how I'm using Molten Strike to poison then. The answer to that is we use the high stagger base with the implicit modifier, all damage from hits of this weapon can poison. This allows all elemental damage to poison the same way as physical and chaos damage. This dagger isn't too rare, but it does come from Experimental Grand Heist, so if you're planning on starting this build fresh and as a Seth, you'll have to play another build first to farm it. Now we know we can poison Molten Strike. Why are we using Molten Strike over any other gem? The main reason I decided to use Molten Strike is because of some cool interactions it has with projectiles overlapping, and it's generally the best single target option. I'll talk about Molten Strike mechanics in the other video in depth, but basically Molten Strike is a strike skill that launches a lot of projectiles and they can overlap on the same target. The cool part about this is we can use multiple gems that have downsides normally for hits, but not for ailments. Gems such as GMP and Multi-Strike. I'll talk more in depth about them when we go over the gem links. Before we go any further, I want to say I'm relatively new to YouTube, so pretty much any and all feedback is appreciated, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments below. Also, if you like this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. So why Assassin? Most people seem to disregard Assassin completely as an option ever since it got nerfed. I believe this is because people feel bad playing something that's just weaker than it used to be. However, I think Assassin, at least for Poison, is extremely underrated right now, and at least for this build, I think it's the best option. The combination of the Assassin's Poison crit nodes and Perfect Agony make the single target damage pretty nutty. The most underrated part though has to be its defenses. The biggest being immunity to crit, which is how you're most likely to get one shot, and the insane recovery while mapping. Noxic Strike gives you 0.5% life per poison per enemy that you kill. We attack 7 times per second, and every attack is 10 balls. So basically you are always full HP while mapping. So the passive tree. Before I get into the passive tree, I want to let you guys know that I made a big note page this time around in the POB. So if you guys want to take a look at that, I'll link it in the description. I made it pretty much everything that I thought was relevant to the character that I could think of. Like for example, strength's pretty important early on. You want to look for strength on items. Strength's like a big problem early on because you have to level determination up. If you're a new player, I would just recommend you level Spectral Helix. If you do have a dagger, the lowest level dagger is level 30. So you can technically switch to Poison Molten Strike at the earliest at level 30. So like you guys take a look at this note page. I'll link it in the POB in the description. For the passive tree, I guess I'll go over it the same way I did last time. You guys seem to really like the way I do the passive tree. You want to go all these attack speed nodes. Later on, we actually go out the other way to save points. But early on, you want the attack speed. Your coordination for some more attack speed. Blood Siphon. Life on Kill is extremely strong early on. I would recommend just getting Entropy early. You don't really need these nodes right away, but it lets you get sleight of hand, and this is the path that you want to do later anyways. And then I would grab Trickery, and we move down this way. Probably grab Charisma while you're here. Get some mana reservation. This will let you run like Vitality, Precision early on if you want to, like War Banner, stuff like that. And then I would probably head over to the Poison cluster. I don't think you get Plague Bearer this early, but you do want the Plague Bearer mastery as soon as possible. Like whenever you're using Plague Bearer, you want to have this mastery. So keep that in mind. At this point, you actually are pretty close to level 30, so you could technically be Poison Molten Strike at this point. And if you do end up using the dagger at this point, you start grabbing the dagger nodes probably. You grab all these dagger nodes, get the elusive dagger nodes. All the dagger masteries are pretty good, like 8% more damage with hits and ailments. Crit strikes have culling. You can grab all of these pretty much as soon as you want to. Grab some more flat life. We head down here, grab the other poison mastery. I recommend taking the poisons you inflict deal damage faster. This makes it so you have faster clear speed, basically. For like single target, you want the poison duration. And I'm not sure, poison you inflict on non-poison enemies deal 300% increased damage. I think that's pretty good for leveling. I wouldn't recommend it in game, but you can technically take this early on and switch it. I'll just grab the poison inflict faster. And then we grab Herbalism and go into Ranger. So Ranger isn't like that important, but you do get like a bunch of accuracy, all res, elemental damage. Which again, elemental damage scales are poison because we're using that dagger base. So if you're confused about why we're taking elemental damage, it actually is basically the chaos damage in this build. And we got Part of the Oak. At this point, we're level 52. Probably grab the other dagger cluster as well. And Ghost Dance. I would say you could probably grab Ghost Dance earlier if you start running Grace. So pretty much as soon as you have enough energy shield for it to matter, I guess. Just take it. You could take it earlier than I did here. At this point, probably grab Perfect Agony. Start going crit. You could run Ungles at like 40 something. Actually, it's pretty early. It's like level 23. Yeah, so like as soon as you get Ungles on, you can take Perfect Agony. Whenever you get the Ungles amulet, it's pretty common, so you should be able to put that on as soon as possible. You can put Perfect Agony on your tree. Fire Torment, as soon as you get Perfect Agony. This is the crit ailment nodes. They give you damage multi from crits. This is how the level 67 tree looks. So this is like right before you enter maps. This is how your tree should be looking. And you should have Toxic Delivery from Kroll, like I said before, Mistwalker, or Opportunistic. Like I said, kind of preference on the Merc Lab. We go level 84. The only difference between level 67 and 84 is we go up here and grab Influence, get the Influence Aura effect, Written in Blood, and Instinct for Suppression Mastery. So the Crit Suppression Mastery is just as good in this build as is the other build. So the Crit Suppression Mastery gives us 11% more damage. Pretty insane. Like crit chance is really good for this build. It turns your crit multi, like your crit multi turns into dot multi basically in this character. Just think about it that way. Like half the crit multi is your dot multi you're getting from it. And this is the level 84 tree. You should have Uberlab by now. Just grab the whichever node you didn't grab the first time. And then we move on to the 95 tree. This is like the super endgame tree. The only difference here is we add lethality for less projectile speed mastery. This is how we do more damage on single target, like for bigger bosses. It just makes the overlapping a lot more consistent. Like smaller targets like Maven, for example, you want to have less projectile speed. You could technically probably grab Adjacent Animosity if you feel like your projectiles aren't overlapping enough. And then we grab some more life. Like if you're playing softcore, you don't need to take these life nodes. You could take like Primeval Force for more damage. There's a lot of damage options here. This any elemental damage, Adjacent Animosity. You get Spell Suppression if you need more. Entrench is right here. Inveterate's right here. You can kind of personalize your tree a little bit. I chose to go life here. And we got the Jewel nodes. Pretty much all the Jewel nodes. Jewel nodes are really good, just in general. And I'm running your Lethal Pride here. This pretty much fixed all my strength issues. And this is where you actually drop the attack speed and go out the other way. And yeah, this is the level 95 tree. So kind of like pretty much endgame tree. Now for the fun part, the gear. So I heard you guys last time when you wanted me to add some lower level gear as well. And I'll go over like each piece of gear individually and like just mention the most important stats and kind of give you guys some ideas on how like to craft and also some min-maxing ideas. I talk about all this in the notes as well. If you guys want to read the notes, I'll link that in the description. It's in the POB. Okay, let's get into it. So like I said before, you need to use a heist dagger. There's 3 types of heist dagger. There's the hollow point, which is level 30, the pressurized, which is level 50, and the thematic, which is level 70. Now, the base doesn't really matter that much. It just has different fizz damage on it. Obviously, Fanatic is slightly more damage. It has slightly higher fizz damage. But you're going for flat elemental damage anyways, so it's not a huge deal. Speaking of flat elemental damage, the best way to craft this dagger is by using attack crafts from Harvest or Essences. Now you can use Essence of Hatred, Wrath, or Anger to get some flat damage. And then attack speed, crit chance, all that stuff's good. The way I crafted my dagger is by... Well, I got pretty lucky with my dagger. I did Attack Craft Harvest, got the flat damage, and then I did Proofs Can't Be Changed and Veiled Chaos, which gave me... Luckily, I got attack speed on the Veiled Chaos, and I got the Unveil as well. So I got really lucky with my dagger, but that just gives you an idea of how to craft it. On to the next item, the shield. So like as you can see, we have 2 stat shield. You can honestly just alt spam for suppression and then regal and craft life. That's pretty much just all you need is suppression life. The helmet is focus, life, and res. So you get the focus craft from Syndicate. The chest, we use another Syndicate craft. You want the 10% life is maximum ES. This is how you make Ghost Shrouds really good. And then again, suppression life. The gloves are probably one of the most interesting pieces for this character. You want the strike additional targets, like implicit, and suppression life. Later on for min-maxing, you can get really crazy gloves. You can get like focus attack speed. You can get temple burning damage, temple shock chance or shock crit thing, res, AoE gems. This affects your plague bearer and your determination and grace. Yeah, gloves are a really interesting piece. But early on, you can just do suppression life again. The boots are suppression life again, or just res. You can get cannot be chilled, cannot be frozen multi-modded, and that would let you drop Brine King. That's an option for later. But in general, you just want suppression life, move speed. The implicits, you can get poison, inflict damage faster, or cooldown recovery of movement skills. That's pretty good as well. Also like action speed, stuff like that. I have like max fire res and poison flick faster. Not the best implicits, but they're decent. With the amulet, you pretty much have two options for the amulet. You have the one alchemy option, which is Ungles, and you have the 50 exalt option, which is Ashes of the Stars. So in order to use Ashes, you need Brittle on your boots. Ungles is really good though. The crit strikes deal no extra damage. It doesn't affect us at all because it doesn't affect the poison. Crit's really good in this character. Like I talked about before, crit multi is basically chaos multi or poison multi. For the rings, you want accuracy. You do need some accuracy in this character. If you don't have hits can't be evaded. That's an option on the dagger, by the way. I don't have that on my dagger, but you can theoretically do that. But yes, you want accuracy, you want weapon elemental damage, any flat elemental damage, life, res, all that good stuff. I use a ring which has life gain hit. It's an elder mod, and that's good as well. You can also use the spare ring if you get like an additional curse Ungles or something like that. That could be like a temporary like middle tier item, like +1 curse Ungles, run despair on a ring along with your other curse, which we'll get into when we talk about the gems. And then we have like the super min max option, which is like Ice Fang, Winter Weave, and I talked about that in the notes. You guys can take a look at the self-chilling option. That's like a really, really insane endgame option. For the belt, you just want strength, res, wed, life. You do need some strength in the character, like I talked about before. You need strength to level up determination. We are getting a lot of strength from our lethal pride as well. And yeah, that's the gear. And last but not least, let's talk about the gem links. So like I said before, I do recommend you level a Spectral Helix. You can switch to Molten Strike at level 30 when you get the Hollow Point Dagger. But it's just going to be a lot easier for you if you level Spectral Helix. Until level 12, you can just run like Splitting Steel or whatever you want. Also, I would recommend you use a Claw. I mean, you can use a two-hander too if you want, but Claws are just really good for leveling because you get a lot of life gain hit and mana gain hit. For if you actually do go level 30 Molten Strike, you're gonna need to use an Ancestral Call and Onslaught. I think you probably just use Added Chaos probably, or Lesser Poison or something as your fourth link. It's probably not that important. I'm not gonna talk too much about the Molten Strike leveling because, like I said before, I recommend you level Spectral Helix. I'll link a POB of a Spectral Helix character in the description so you guys can take a look at that. I made a couple different things here, like no Strike Gloves, no Strike Glove 6-link. So these change based on if you have the Strike Glove implicit, like I have it on this character, on this gloves here. Strike additional nearby targets. So that's why we have these here. Now, if you don't have the Strike Gloves, you have to run Ancestral Call. Nightblade, Immolate, Multi-Strike, or the 5-link. Now, most people think Multi-Strike is bad, which I kind of agree with normally, but for this character, the supported skills deal 20% less attack damage, doesn't apply to poison. The Multi-Strike has no downside basically for this character. Even if you happen to like move before you get the second strike, you're still doing a lot of damage with Multi-Strike. It's just a very efficient gem for this character. Also, we have a lot of attack speed, so it's not that bad. For the 6-link, you add GMP. And again, GMP has less projectile damage, but this does not affect poison damage. That's another very, very good gem for this character. And then once you get the Strike Gloves, you can add in Unbound Ailments. The reason I think Unbound Ailments is a 6-link is because you don't really need duration until like much later. It's good for early bosses, but like you're doing so much damage anyways that you don't really need Unbound Ailments until you're like in the very end game, which is when you're gonna have Strike Gloves probably. For our other gem links, we do run Poacher's Mark, Life Tap, Mark and Hit. I tried without Life Tap. It's a little rough. Life Tap just makes it so you never run out of mana. Like you're never gonna have issues with cast damage taken. You're not gonna be like randomly like run out of mana when you're like shield charging around. And we run Flame Dash, Tempest Shield, Defiance Banner as well. I guess while I'm talking about the auras, we also run Determination and Grace. And then we run Shield Charge, Faster Attacks, along with a Protector Totem. The reason we run Protector Totem over like Wither Totems is because we just run Withering Step with increased duration. Now, Withering Step, you really want to get Anomalous Withering Step, ideally. The main benefit to this is if you actually use Withering Step twice, like with increased duration, you'll have up to 15 withers. Now, if you have Ashes, this Anomalous actually becomes 5 wither debuffs. So pretty much every time you cast it, you're going to be almost cap wither. So Ashes makes Withering Step kind of nuts, especially with the Anomalous. Another Anomalous gem you could take it or keep an eye out for is the Anomalous Molten Shell. Anomalous Molten Shell gives you buff can take additional 5% equal to your armor. Normally it's 20%. With the quality, it's 25%. And again, with Ashes, it becomes even more insane. That's kind of a running theme with this character. And Again, with Ashes, Phantasmal Molten Strike gets us an insane amount of damage. Even without Ashes, a Phantasmal Molten Strike is 40% dot. With Ashes, it's up to 100%. Another really, really good gem for Ashes, and just in general. And Plague Bearer. So this is the last thing I want to talk about. Plague Bearer is really insane. Like, it's just really good for clearing. You can buff your Plague Bearer with the Mastery, as well as like any additional levels in your gloves. Like, ideally, you're putting Plague Bearer, Determination Grace in your gloves with additional gem, like additional AoE gems. And you can run Empower with it too if you get it. It just makes the Plague Bearer like pretty nutty for clearing. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that about covers it, guys. If you have any questions or comments or any feedback, just make sure you let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer any questions. And there's a couple things I didn't mention in the video. They are in the notes here. Like, for example, Fortify, Blind, Pantheons, Bandits, all that good stuff. All those questions you guys like to ask me. They're all here in the notes. If you do have a question that's not in the notes here, just, again, just ask me in the comments below or on my Twitch channel, and I'll try to get to you. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.